Hey guys, how's it going? CLO Matrix, how's it going? And Voxerus, I hope you guys are all doing all right. Today we are going to be kind of picking up where we left off on the last stream. I've done a little bit more though, so it's not quite like picking immediately up. But yeah, I've got a lot of questions today for you guys because I'm not quite sure what the best approach is on a lot of these things. So we'll find out what feels the best. But basically, in the last stream, we started working on these replacement transforms where you have two SVGs and they like morph into each other. You can see that there's a bug right now, and that's the bug that we're going to start off solving, which is that's completely wrong. And Hilbert Curve, hey, glad you could catch your stream. I'm glad you're here too. Good to see you. But yeah, so hopefully we'll be working on this, but you can see if we go back into the editor view, everything still kind of works as you would expect. Except for those being wrong. So what's happening here is these two letters are getting replaced. I think it's they're attaching to the wrong objects here. Clearly, I mean, I'm not quite sure why they are, so that's kind of what we're gonna have to go look through. And then they fix it themselves like right after. And then also these are not getting the correct holes, so we've got to take a look at that as well. But that shouldn't be too bad, hopefully, and we can take a look at that. One thing that you'll notice that is different is these are individual objects now, right? So each letter is an actual object and it's a child of the parent object. If we go back into the editor view, if I actually click on the parent object, in this case, this guy, I can move around the entire thing. If I click on one of the child objects, I can move around an individual child object. And now I'm not actually going to be able to move that. But this is a question that I've got for you guys. Foxer shouldn't be too bad, or famous last words. That is very true. I've gotten most of the hard stuff out of the way here, though, so I think we should be good. But this is where I've got some questions for you guys, because what happens is as soon as I move this, okay, well, that just failed horribly. As soon as I change one of these properties, there we go. You see that G snapped back to where it was. And the reason it did that is because as soon as any of its properties change, if we take a look at the code that actually handles this stuff, where is that? That is in timeline.cpp. Yeah, so as soon as any of that stuff changes, we have this thing should regenerate, evaluate to true because a property changed, and then what happens is it reinitializes all the text objects, which basically means it deletes all the children and then it reinitializes those. The reason it does that is because if I were to just change the color on here, it wouldn't actually change the color for all the children objects, right? And so the question is, should it do that? So the reason I have that question is because, first of all, now if I click onto one of these objects and I change their color, this is probably behavior that I want to keep, right? Because, you know, sometimes you want to change the color of individual letters or something. But now when I exit and reload that project, you're going to see that it's kind of lost that change. And the reason it's lost that change is not because of anything in particular. It's because I'm not serializing these children objects. I'm just serializing the parent. And then what the parent does is it goes, if we look in text animations, and it calls init, which basically goes through the string and then generates all of those children object on the fly and basically positions them and everything. So the question then is, should it behave this way? Or should I serialize these things and then this is how it is, and then maybe have like an update button or something over here, right? Where when you click update here, this object goes and applies all of its properties to its children. So then you would lose, like if I had changed the color of this to blue, then you would lose that because if I hit update, oh, now it's going to change the color back to red, right? It's going to apply that across the children. So yeah, that's kind of one of the things that I've been thinking about because I'm not quite sure how that should work. Another thing that I've got too is I think this is probably how I want all of this stuff to work. So if we go ahead and add this guy to the create, I'll drag him over there. We can see we've got a square here. And then if I were to add a circle and parent that circle to the square, you'll notice it also pops up. and it pops up because it's a child of this object. So it's part of this create. Since we're creating this one, it creates all the children, and it should do that recursively. So if I go ahead and add like another circle and child him there, well, it should. There we go. Okay. It just moved it. I got to fix that. Okay. So it does do that. You can also notice like I move the parent, it moves all the children. I move this parent, it moves all those children. So everything's working all right. But yeah. And I'm going to move this over here. Basically, yeah. So it's all kind of working out all right. And they all get built recursively just because of the way this all works. So I guess my question is like, should it apply to the children? I think that makes sense, but maybe it doesn't. And that's still something I'm kind of wondering about. But yeah. SE Woods, how's it going? Don't get on Twitch notifications anymore. No idea why. It's all good. I've got no idea why either. Twitch is weird. Voxer, so you kind of have to serialize every character there. Why would I have to serialize every character there, though? So basically what I'm doing right now, I'm not serializing any of these characters, and they're just getting regenerated. What I'm doing is I'm serializing the string itself and the font, and then I'm just regenerating all the children afterwards. And so like these get deleted on serialization and then regenerated once I reload the world or project. So, but yeah, I think I probably will end up serializing them though, because I think that makes the most sense so that these types of changes do stick, you know, once I actually change a single letter, it actually does change. Yeah, I think the update button is probably going to be needed too though, because there are times when you'd want to, for example, change like one of these properties and then have that update to all of them. Like if I change the SVG scale, but it's like, keeps the stuff you've changed. Wait, because I would think the intended behavior is keeps the stuff you changed. Yes. Yeah. That's what I agree with too. I guess maybe then what should we do something where it's like each of these has an apply to children button? I don't know. Where like, because I think it'd be annoying, right? Say you change the color or not even, yeah. Let's say we change the stroke color here and we want to affect all the children. Maybe I have like a button on the side of all of these attributes and it's like I click apply to children and then it goes ahead and does that. So how far is this from being finished? Are we getting close? I have no idea. No promises whatsoever because I've got no idea. Deleting objects also works again now. So you'll see that it successfully deleted it from everything. If I delete this guy, deletes the children too. So that's good. But yeah, it's getting to a place where I'm pretty happy with the way it's working, SE Woods, but I'm still not completely sure. And Voxer's right. I think apply to children button for each property would be necessary. Okay, yeah. So I think I kind of like that. That sounds the best, where basically you could go ahead and just have that propagate down. And then I guess last question, should it go recursively? Right? So if he has a child, should that child also get the application? One other thing that I noticed, if I zoom in over here, I believe this is wrong. So I've got some problems in and also we can increase this to make it a little bit more high res. I guess not. Okay. So that is not an issue with our cache, I guess. And you guys can't see that, so I'm not going to mess with that stuff. But another thing I noticed, you see how that line kind of looks weird? We've also got the same thing here. Or actually, I think it's this guy. And then we've also got, if I go back to here, the same thing here. Where this O kind of just, no, that looks right. Okay. It looked weird before. I don't know. I can't tell if I'm parsing these fonts 100% correct or if I might be getting issues on like the last vertex or something. But I guess it looks okay. I'm not sure. Who knows? Yeah, recursively sounds right. Okay, yeah. And SE Woods, I think your YouTube channel is about to get deleted due to extreme inactivity. Yeah. Am I using the cache now? I am using the cache, but I'm still regenerating every frame. I have not started using it. Like it's there and I'm using it, but it's still like I submit all the draw calls every frame, which is unfortunate. That frame buffer needs some anti-aliasing. Well, I think the frame buffer, so this is the cache. And if we take a look at this, I can't tell. Like, I think the frame buffer looks fine. Let's blow this up quite a bit. I think the problem is nano VG. Let's go up to 400. So if we do that, it doesn't look like it regenerated there. It should regenerate. Oh, it's because I'm doing the wrong object. Okay. If we do that to the hello world object, 400. There we go. Okay. Let's go up to 600. Okay, no, I don't know. Now I can't tell. If we zoom in again, yeah, okay, I guess it does look better. So I guess, and that's the whole reason I have this as a cache too, is that you can kind of like take a look at it in this output window, see if you like it. You know, you can make this full screen if you want. Kind of like get an idea of how it would look if it was full screen, right? And then decide, okay, is that like good enough resolution? Yes, no, and then like change it if you want. So I think that's kind of why I have that option there, so that you can actually scale it up and down to your needs. Because of course, if you have it at lower resolution, you can fit more stuff in the cache, and it should result in fewer draw calls. However, right now it's not doing anything to the draw calls. They're all kind of screwed up just because of stuff. So I got to fix that. I better get this working before SOMV3. I sure hope so. We should get to that point before then, hopefully, for sure. And then I can start telling people to use it, right? See how it goes. But yeah, I'm really happy actually with like the way a lot of this stuff is going, especially this. So like if we move this up kind of where that guy is, this looks, I was kind of scared that this wouldn't look like the way Manum does their replacement transforms, because it was looking kind of weird, but like this is pretty close and I'm really happy with it. Of course, I've got those letters wrong. They're swapped out, but like that's pretty close to the replacement transform they've got. So I'm very happy with the way that's turned out so far. I'll go over how it works and stuff too in just a second, so you guys can get a little sneak peek of that. And then we'll take a look and see if we can debug why these two letters are incorrect and get that fixed. But yeah, Langors, how's it going? It is going good over here. Hope you're doing all right. One other thing that I gotta do is I gotta shift the text to the left. Right now it's not centered on the gizmo. I'd like this to be centered. And I think if we rotate, it's not gonna, yeah, it's gonna rotate each letter individually. So I also have to have it where rotations apply to the center of the gizmo of the parent. Right now it's just applying the rotations locally. So it's another thing I gotta fix. But, you know, this is turning out pretty good. You know, we got rotations working, all that stuff. You can scale. And also notice too, I'm scaling the parent and it's applying to the children. That's another thing that's worth talking about, because I've had trouble in the past doing like parent to child transformations and all that stuff. Like how do you apply it? All that stuff. So we'll talk about that as well. And good to hear you're doing good, Langors. It's kind of a recursive statement in itself. Okay, let's go to the animation manager. If I go up here to update, this is kind of where like all the stuff happens. Or actually, I guess it's called render. Yeah. This collects draw calls, which is why it's called render, but it also updates stuff. I might separate them at some point or another. Who knows? But yeah, okay, so basically, how do we update everything? Well, I kind of do the same thing that I've been doing before, but for the child to parent transformations, what I do is I go and find all the root objects. So any parent that's like at the root of the tree, right? In that case, that would be stuff like, we'll actually leave this running while I'm going through it because it's a little bit easier. So like that's this object, right? He has no parent, so he's a root object, but this guy, his parent is hello world obj, so he is not a root object. So this goes ahead, it collects all the root objects, puts them into our queue. Then we go through each of the root objects and we do a while loop, because this is a breadth first search, I guess. Yeah, this is breadth first is how we're going to go and iterate over these trees. And so basically we get the next object ID. So in that case, that would be this object since we're on the first iteration. We go and we say pop, you know, take him off the queue. And then we get his actual object, right? This goes and gets the object because we're just working off IDs. And technically this is type def, which I'll fix. And then we do this update global transform. And I'll go into that in just a second. And then we check and see if the next object Oh yeah, then we check and see if it has a parent. And if it does have a parent, what we do is we append its global transformation to ours. So you can see I have this global position start plus equals the parent's global position plus equals the parent's, and the start in this thing, they're there for a specific reason. But anyways, then what I do is I multiply the transform, and this transform is a matrix 4, and so that basically applies all the rotations and everything from the parent to this child as well. So basically, if it does have a parent, we get that parent, and then we apply that. And since we're doing this parent to child, what's going to happen is this will be updated in the correct order, right? So this parent's going to get updated before any of its children. That way, by the time we get to the child, he's going to go get his parent, and that transform will already be updated appropriately. This is good because if you update the child first, then it's going to get an old transform here, and it's not going to update correctly. It'll be like lagging a frame behind from what's actually happening. Then what we do is we go through all of its children. So I go through, I look for any objects that have its parent. This is very inefficient. It's just looping through all the objects again. Basically, we find that, and then I push it to the end of the queue. So that means that it will hit it after we hit all the parents, but we should get all the children and stuff. But yeah, so that's the basics of how that works. If we go into update global transform, all this does is starts some of this stuff, and then it goes ahead and like actually builds a transformation matrix. And then we go ahead and we say, oh yeah, so this just builds like the local transformation matrix, right? So this isn't actually the global quite yet, builds the local one. But then once we get to here, it turns into a global transformation because we're multiplying, and it's kind of applying those changes to the child, which is good. So yeah, it's kind of weird how it works, but this is the best way I could find to get this to work properly, and I'm actually really happy with the way it's working so far. So yeah, that's pretty good. What was the other thing I was going to talk about? So I said I was going to talk about the transformation matrix. Yes, and then I think I was going to talk about the morphing. There's a lot of gross stuff right now in the code too that I've got to get fixed, but we'll get around to that. So the morphing, that's actually an animation.cpp. And I think that's, yeah, replacement transform. Okay, so if we go down there, let's go down to here. Okay. So our replacement transform, it's kind of a mess. It's kind of gross, but it works, which is the good thing. So the first thing I do is I kind of hit this at a macro level. Before I go and start interpolating between SVGs, I have to figure out which SVGs to morph. So there's a couple of problems we have to solve for morphing to SVG groups of objects, right? First problem we have this, and let's actually make this a little bit easier. We'll change the text here to just be Gabe, right? So 4 letters, and we'll change this to be hi, right? So this is going to morph from Gabe to hi. Oh, that one actually looks good too. It's doing it right. Cool. Okay, so first problem we have, these have 2 different number of letters, right? This has 4 letters. This has 2 letters. How are we supposed to interpolate this to this? Well, the option that I chose that I think is actually the best, and you can see it, I think it looks all right, is basically any extra letters inside of this guy just fade out. So you'll notice the B and the E, they just fade out. And then what happens is the G and the A, they morph into the H and the I. So those just kind of fade out, and then the other ones go. And then they interpolate, of course, correctly the other way. What happens if it's the other way around, though? So like, let's say we're going from here to here. Okay. Well, that's not, oh, I have it morphing to itself. Okay, wait, let's do, yeah, that to that. Okay, there we go. Did I do that right? Wait a second. Oh yeah, and then what I have to do too is we'll just remove this because it's kind of weird. So we'll do that. This will create this. Okay, so we're morphing from this to that. There we go, now it looks right. The reason it was weird before is because the other one was created, so it was active and stuff. Well, yeah, so anyways though. So if we go the reverse way, right, what do? I just fade in these letters, and I should probably interpolate their positions as well. Right now I'm not doing that. Let's do that first, actually. Let's fix that. So on the macro level, what I'd like to happen is like, well, okay, and see, this is kind of hard. Well, no, okay, yeah, we should be able to do this just fine, I think. I guess this is another question too. Should these just fade in, or should these like be created? Should they have the create animation like this as well? Because we could change that easily. So lots of different things. I could split the SVGs or something too. Oh, we already do that. Trust me. So that's the next thing that we have to do, which is actually the much more difficult part. And the reason I don't do them, combine them into a giant group, is because you'd have to combine SVGs, which is actually even harder than splitting them. I mean, I guess you could combine them and it would be fine, but yeah. My code is gross. Meanwhile, me on my way dereferencing a null pointer to get my code to work. It's okay. I dereference null pointers all the time, CGO clan. And very smooth. So the problem with like combining all of these into a single SVG, like a giant SVG object, is you're going to get weird fills and stuff, which is why I don't do it that way. It won't quite turn out the correct way. But we do morph. So the H in this case definitely has a different number of curves than that G that it's morphing into. I can make two characters morph into half letters each. Two characters morph into half letters each. You'll have to expand on that one a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know, but isn't the G looking like a fish monster in the middle? It is. See, but that's the great thing about the speed. When you play it fast, it just kind of looks like it works for the most part. I can move it around and stuff too, so that it's like morphing into place and everything, and it would probably look a little bit better. Let's see if we move high to be a little bit more. Whoops, that's not high. Like that. Yeah, that should look a little bit better. But basically, I can work on that a little bit more too. Yeah, so it kind of looks like it works. It just kind of, it's weird. So GA turns into H, BE turns into I. Oh yeah, that's certainly possible. It's already pretty hard as it is though, so I don't know if I'm gonna go much more. G turns into half an H, turns into the other half. Okay, yeah. So that's one of the problems, is like it's really hard to split on boundaries like this because of the way the curves work and everything. And honestly, I think I'm pretty happy with this, but we'll go through it so that we can kind of understand the problem a little bit better. It's folding the right horizontal of the H down to the side of G, if you notice closely. Yeah, and that's one of the problems that I just, unfortunately, it's hard to control exactly where the splits and everything take place. Yeah, we'll go into it so that you guys can see the mess and why I'm like, this is probably the best we're going to get. Okay, so anyways, I have this SVG interpolate, right? So what ends up happening too, the way that we do this is we basically recursively iterate over the children. If there's any extra children, we fade them in from the replacement side. If there's any extra children from our side, then we fade them out so that we get that fade in, fade out. And we could change that to be like create or whatever as well, which I might try. So instead of doing this, let's say equals T. So this is fading in. Okay, let's just get rid of this. And then for fading out, I'm gonna say this child equals 1 minus T. And what this should do is it should basically do the same thing, except now those extra characters shouldn't fade in or fade out. They should actually look nice. Yeah, there we go. I don't know. I don't know which one is nicer. Do we keep it this way, or is the other one better? I think it was better with them just fading in. I don't know. I'll let you guys be the judge of that, though. Let me just check chat real quick again. That's how the morphing process works. G to fish and then H. Yes. The fish is the trademark. Also I to ampersand to A. I'm going to take this back for now. I think I liked it better the other way, but fade in looks better. Yeah, okay. So I was thinking too. It was worth a shot. See if it looks okay. But the good news is it is this easy to like change stuff. Okay, anyway, so what I was saying is like the way this works is we go and we add all the children to kind of our queue, right? So we have this children, replacement children. And then what we end up doing is we go and we interpolate this specific object we recursively call all this stuff. Where is it? Somewhere. Yeah, so we recursively call all this stuff on the children. And so what ends up happening is like this goes through and it like recursively calls the direct children, and then they call their children and they call their children until it actually finishes up. And it's just calling the same function. So it's doing that. And then what ends up happening is eventually it gets down to this point where it interpolates itself. And so that calls this interpolate function, and then we interpolate all of the properties. So it goes ahead and interpolates the positions, the global positions, rotation, scale, fill, stroke, all that stuff. And then we set the % created so that it's like not uncreating itself as it morphs or anything like that. And then this is where it does the micro morphing, I guess. So the SVG morphing itself. And it's very, very messed up. I mean, it works, but it's like the way it works is just very painful. So yeah, I love fish. So first one. Okay, so basically what happens is first we have to figure out which SVG object has less contours and which one has more. And I guess it's paths now. I've changed the language. So which one has less paths, which one has more paths. So SVG objects could have multiple paths within one object. If we take a look at that, I think the E or the A. Okay, yeah. So if we take a look at this A, we've actually got two paths here. We've got one path, which is the path around the outer edge, and then we have another path, which is the path on the inside edge. G has one path, okay? And so you can see that that I also has two paths, so it's actually getting to morph correctly, and H also has two. But basically, say you're trying to interpolate a G to an A, where this has one, that has two. I have to account for that. And so what I do is I just find out which one, source or destination, has less and which one has more. And then I kind of order them this way because it's easier to do all the math. So then what I do is I say, okay, the number of paths to skip. And basically, I think what this ends up doing is it basically skips them for the one with less, or no, for the one with more. So that basically, like if the first one has 3, let's do that. And the second one has 2. Number of paths would be the more paths, so that's 4 over that, which is 2, which gets us 2. And so basically what that says is, okay, so this path is going to morph into this path, and then it's going to skip 2. This path will morph into this path, and then it would skip 2, and now it's at the end, so it's not going to morph anymore. That's essentially what that thing is doing. So that basically we morph certain paths. The other paths just disappear, which you don't seem to notice, so that's okay. Can you show morphing the red fox jump from lazy brown dog to dog brown lazy, the over jump to fox red? Yes, we'll do that in a second. Good test. We'll see if it works. So after we do that, we basically check and see. We have to loop through and actually morph those paths. So that's what this is doing. Now, the next problem is each path has a certain number of vertices, and we kind of have to fix this. This is all messed up too. I'm trying to fix that, but that's not what I want to do. Trying to fix the holes, but we got to take a look at that again in a second. Basically, so like I have it called the number of curves, which are just like the vertices around and stuff. Bezier curves that go around it. So we basically go, and if they don't have an equal number of curves, I can't just interpolate between one and the other. So what I do is I generate a new curve where I split the curve into several portions. Let's actually go over to a different screen very quickly. So if I go over here, I actually have some drawings from when I was working this stuff out. Let's see. Okay, yeah, here we go. So basically, if they have two different number curves, what I'm gonna do is I need to split it, right? And so in this case, you can see I need to split this circle. This has 1, 2, 3, 4 curves. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And say I was trying to split it into this triangle, I think is what I was doing. Yeah. So then basically what I want to do is I want to make these have an equal number of curves. And so I need to figure out where to split it to get like kind of an equidistant number of curves. And so these blue lines are the splits. And then you can see the blue lines over here are the splits as well. And then we end up with 10 splits overall. I think I was doing this as just like kind of a test, which is why I chose 10 to just see if this worked out. But basically what we end up doing is like, say we have 10 curves here, and I posted this in the Discord, but I'll kind of explain it. The math just kind of works out where this ends up splitting it. You'll notice this has 2 splits. This one has 1, this has 2, this has 1. So it split this circle evenly into 10 segments. And then same thing here. We have 2 splits, we have 3 splits, we have 2 splits. It split this evenly into 10 segments and kind of spread out that distribution along the curves. This does mean that if one curve does not have like, so if you have something like this, each of these splits will get like an equal distribution, which isn't good because this line is shorter than this one. So it won't turn out completely correct, but it's close enough that it doesn't matter in practice. And the way this works is basically, say we want to split this into 10 segments. I do 10 over 4, which is the number of splits we want and the number of segments we have, which gets me 2.5. And then I round that up, which says we need 3. Yeah, 3 indices. So then we get 1, 2, 3. Then I do 7 over 3 because we have 3 segments left that we want to split, and we have 3 segments left here, right? This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. And then we have 7 left that we need to distribute. That gets us 2.3 repeating. We round that down to 2. So then this one ends up with 2 segments. And then we have 5 segments left we want to distribute. We have 2 segments left, 1, 2. That gets us 2.5. So this one gets 3. We get 6, 7, 8, and then we get 9, 10 there. Basically, you just divide the number of segments you'd like to distribute into how many segments you actually have, and then you round this number naturally, and it just works out where it gives you the correct number of splits that you need. So with that preface, let's go back to here. So with that preface, basically what ends up happening is we go through each of these curves, and I kind of have it written out here. And let's see. Then I round it so that I figure out how many splits we need. And then I go through and I split this curve the number of splits times. So I go through and depending on what kind of curve it is, you have to do different things to split it appropriately. So I go through and split them all appropriately. And then what happens is I end up with a list for a new path. And so then I go and create a new SVG using this new path and curves. Then I basically go and use that SVG as the result, right? Yeah. So basically this goes ahead, it distributes the curves evenly and everything. And then we go through each of the new curves that we have, and we go through and we just interpolate directly. So now they have the same number of curves. So then now what I can do is I can just like swap between each of those curves, and it just kind of works out. There's a lot of stuff going on in here, and it's not exactly crystal clear, but it works, and that's the most important thing. So yeah, we'll go ahead and do CGO clans ask very quickly to see if this works out. And that's a clever algorithm. Thanks. Did I come up with this myself? I did. I just kind of figured it out when I was messing around trying to see how all this stuff works, and it just kind of worked out. So I was happy with that. Let's go here. So I'm actually going to start with this one. So we said we want to go from this. I don't have line breaks working yet. And it looks like the G is messed up. Yeah, so this is something I'm working on too. I don't always correctly get the holes identified because nano VG is a bit weird, so I've got to fix that. We'll see about that in a second too, though. Okay, so this one, I can't click on the text there for some reason. That's weird. Is I am GUI breaking on me or something? No, there we go. Okay, it just disappeared for a second. And then we're gonna morph this to dog brown lazy. The over jumped fox red. I think you had the in there twice, so we'll do that. And then I'll put this here. So if we go, yeah, you can see some of the letters are getting like mixed up, which is not good. Got to figure out what's wrong with that. And there's a lot of mishaps happening there in between. This is good though. It's a good test to see how this all works out and how we're going to have to fix it. Once it does finalize though, it fixes itself except for that, which is unfortunate. But yeah. Okay, and Joe Mega, how's it going? Good to see you. So with all that said, what am I going to work on? I guess the first thing we should probably work on is fixing whatever this bug is. I'm not sure why these letters, there's just a few of them that are just completely wrong. I don't know. Like there's a Z in there. Do we have a Z in here? Okay, yeah, we do have a Z here, but it's like smaller and stuff too. I don't know where it's getting this from. Actually, I do. So I think it's smaller because it's still technically pulling all of its characteristics from the letter that was there before, which is this D. And it's applying it to a Z for some reason. That's just so weird, though. Yeah, okay, we're going to put a breakpoint and see what's happening here. Because it should not be doing that. So if we go back up into... Nope, not in there. Into here. Let's render, or actually I think it's in animation.cpp. Let's see. Yep, okay, here we go. So if we go into here, let's try and see what the heck is going on, because that's very weird. The at the end is intentional. Oh, okay, sorry. We can add that back after we see if we can figure this out. Joe Mega, not great. Amsic, that's no fun. And Voxstrips, they're not even on the same font. I think they are. I think they're just like different size and the layout is getting messed up. UK visa has been accepted. Nice. I am in the middle of getting a passport accepted, so I understand the pain there. Must be hard debugging this stuff. Is RenderDoc the main man for debugging on the GPU? Well, I don't think this is a GPU problem. I think this is a logic problem. So we're just going to debug in here. But yeah. Still keeping this voxel stuff mothballed. We are not taking that out quite yet, Tinspin, but should be soon, hopefully. I want to start picking that up again at some point. I say soon. I don't know what that means in this context. There's just too many variables to quite know. Let's see if we can figure out what's happening here, though. So we hop into here. We get this replacement, which you can see is a text object, which makes sense. And then this is going to give us several children. So I go through here, I get this children, and it gives us 31 characters, which are all of the children. And these are their IDs. And then we get the replacement children, which is 34 characters. So I guess we're differing by 4 characters. So then what we do is we go through and we call replace with these. So this is an SVG object. What is its name? So this is D. And we're replacing that with T. Wait, is that right? I think this is the problem. It says we're replacing D with T, but I think we're replacing T with D. Let me just remove that. Oh, wait, no, that is right. Okay, so it should be replacing D with T. Okay, so it's weird that it's doing that wrong. Let's do this again. I should have checked this before. So what we should get is this child should be D, and we're replacing it with T, is what we should be getting. So we go through here. Okay, so this is D. Okay, so that's correct. And then other child is T, which is also correct, okay? So then we call this child, which is the D, and we're replacing it with the other child, which is T. Let's just double check that. Yeah, so that's T, and its ID is 861. So we go into here. It's recursively calling this, so we're back in here. We get replacement object, which should be T. That's true. Okay. So then we go, we update that stuff. We should get 0 children, 0 children. Cool, that works. So we skip all that stuff. Then we get this object and the replacement, and we're replacing this SVG with the replacement SVG, which should be fine. What is this? This is D. Okay, so we're replacing D with T. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, and if we jump into here, yeah, so this is source in dest. Okay, so that's all fine. I'm guessing it's something here. Yeah, I'm guessing this is what's happening. Okay, so my logic here must be flawed. Yeah, so I'm guessing what's happening here, this is becoming the wrong object. So source number paths is 2, destination has 1. So we're setting destination. Okay, yeah, I think this is what's happening. So I do this to make the math easier and stuff, but I think what's happening is now these two have become swapped, and so I'm now replacing, that's now T, and this is now D, and so it's swapped them, which helps for the math, but I guess I just have to fix it down here. Okay, so we do all this, we get all that stuff, that's fine. But the thing I want to do is, okay, so we have less path and we have more path. And I guess what I want to do is I want to swap these back now. So at this point, they should have the same number of vertices and everything. And then what I would want to do, I think, is let's try this out. Okay, to do, this may break stuff. Let's try this. So I think we have less path and we have more paths. I think we want to say if less paths does not equal source, then we're going to say less paths equals source, more paths equals dest. I think this is what we want to do. Wait a second. This might break stuff even more, though. No, I think we just want to swap these. Okay, wait. Is this doing what I think it's doing? Well, we have path 0 and we have path 1. And those are what we're actually interpolating between. Okay, so never mind. What we want to do, path 0, let's see what that is. Oh, man. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing here again. We're swapping stuff potentially, which makes this even more difficult. Okay, so path 0 is originally this guy, and then path 1 is for him. Okay, and then that should stay the same. Okay, so we should be fine there. So path 0 and path 1. So basically we want to see if less paths does not equal the source, we want to swap path 1 and path 0. I think that's what we want to do. Let's see if that works. So if that's true, then we want to swap SVG object star temp equals path 0. What is this? This is a path star. Okay. Do we not have access to path 0 anymore? We should. That should be fine. Oh, I think I have to make it a const reference. Or a const pointer. Okay, that's fine. So we've got that, and then const path, well, actually, then we can say path 1 equals path 0. No. Path 0 equals path 1. Path 1 equals temp. Right? That should swap it. So we go 0 goes to temp, then 0 goes to 1, and then 1 goes to temp. Yeah, so that should swap them. I think that should be it. I think that should fix it. We'll see. Potentially. Hopefully. We just go out of that. Okay. Oh, and I didn't save anything, of course. Okay, so let's write out that text again real quickly. So let me see if I can find it in chat again. Well, okay, I'm going to go hello world to goodbye world because I can't remember the text exactly. If you have it, CGO clan, paste it again and we'll try it again. Okay, so we do that. All right, so the letters are all the same now. That's good. Before this was breaking. So now they're not transforming into each other, which is good. So that fixed that bug, but the holes are still messed up. So got to fix that. I really should be cleaning all those to-dos by now. Deactivated spirit in every programmer. Yeah, that's true. The at the last is intentional. Yes, I know. I need to fix that. The red fox. Ah, thank you, Fox Riffs. Okay, let's try it out. Gonna copy this, paste it there, and then copy this, and we'll paste it there. Okay, so let's move that right there. Move this one around the same place, and we'll just do that. Okay, so it is working, and one of the problems that I mentioned is now popping up. You can see this J basically just shrinks. Yeah, what's happening is the T has one path, but the J has two paths. And so I guess what's happening is it's shrinking the dot, and the dot is transforming into the T, and it's just getting rid of the other one. So unfortunately, that is noticeable, and I'll have to figure out how to fix that. Because if we go, yeah, that's not good. We definitely got to fix that. Then we've got the same thing happening with the E. The E is going from, yeah, so we've got this, right? This M is 1. Excuse me. And then it's kind of snapping to this E, because what's happening is it's transforming into that circle, which isn't good. We want it to transform to the whole thing. That's going to be difficult. I'll take a look at this offline. For now, this is working good enough. We can move on to something else that's a little bit easier, and I think I can actually do on stream, which is scene management. So we'll talk about that in a second. But for the most part, this is working pretty good, and I fixed that one bug. Now we just got to fix different sized paths and have them be one big path. Wait, it's this exactly. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The red fox jump over the lazy dog. Brown dog. Oh, that's weird. Wait, is this the right one? No? Oh, I just have them swapped. Dog, brown, lazy, the, over jump, fox, red, the. And then the red fox jumped over the lazy brown dog. Yeah, so I think I just had them swapped there. In terms of which is going to which. Okay, so we've got this. One of the things that I wanted to work on was something called scene management. Basically, what I want to do is I want yet another panel or something. Basically, it'll probably be up with the timeline. I'll probably have another panel here where we can swap between scenes, and different scenes are basically just like collections of objects, and then it can have its own audio and stuff. And I want there to be like a way you can transition between scenes. We'll see about that. Where basically like if this is one scene, you know, it can like transition to the left, bring in the new scene by transitioning that scene to the right, which could be interesting. So we'll have to see about that. First thing we need to do is we're going to need a new GUI panel for this. But before we do that, I am just going to commit this stuff since we did kind of fix that. We're going to call this fixed one bug with okay, so that is fixed. Let's push that. All right, push that. Cool. And then what I'm going to do as well is we're just going to check out a new branch. And this is going to be add scene management. Okay. Cool. So now that we've got this, basically what I want to do is go into editor GUI.cpp, which is where like all the editor stuff kind of lives. Yeah, and we've got all this stuff. And what I'm going to do is we're going to have one more thing, scene management panel update. Yes, I think I like this. We'll do it right after the timeline, I guess, because that makes sense. Then let's go into here. We're going to go and add a new item. This is going to be scene management panel.h. And we're just going to do this. Copy that. And we're going to namespace this. And we're going to have an update And I also like having init and free. Copy that. We're going to go into source, add this file. All right, paste it. Got all that. Include this. I'm also going to include core in here because it's probably going to come up sooner rather than later. Implement all these. Call all of those inside of editor GUI. So we've got this. We are also going to call init in here. I'll do it right there. And we're going to include it up here. There we go. So that should be fine. That one's fine. And then free, we are also going to call it here. There we go. Okay, so we've got all the functions called, and then inside of update, we're just going to do I am GUI begin scene manager. I'm GUI end. Cool. So we should have a new window now. That window should be our scene manager, and we will begin editing that in just a second. So we go back into here. We've got a new window right up here. Gonna go ahead and drag it into here. So we're basically out of our timeline and then our scene manager. Who knows, maybe I'll have it differently, but for now I think this makes sense. There's a lot of tabs and stuff popping up on here too. I am gonna probably have to come up with a new way of managing this stuff, but I think I like this. It makes sense, at least for now. You can also like do split view, right? And then like kind of view your camera and everything and go back and forth if you want. And it just works, which is nice. So that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, actually. So yeah. Let me just check chat real quick. Yes, so I am using Nano VG. Sorry, I just noticed some chat. You guys were talking about that. Yeah, I'm using this Nano VG. It is very slow, but it works right. So to get around the slowness, I have this cache, which basically goes and it draws all the SVGs. If we go and like have that in between, you can see these are the in-between states. Basically what I need to do is I need to implement some sort of render graph where I can only apply the changes. Right now, Nano VG runs every frame. So unfortunately, I'm getting all the draw calls and it's very annoying. It does slow things down a lot. But once I get that, I'll be able to use that cache and then just blit the textures instead of worrying about calling Nano VG every frame. I'll talk about the render graph in a minute too, because that's something that I kind of want to get into at some point, but I'm waiting because it's not a big deal right now. Tinspin, what is Gabe using? STB? Might just as well create a font with SVG in it. Oh, yeah. So the reason I'm not just using like a font generator for that, because this isn't just for fonts, like Voxler said. So basically all the SVGs in this are created using like SVG syntax and whatever. So basically if I go and add this, you can see it does this. And then more importantly, if I add a latex object, latex, we'll add this here. And if I scale that up a little bit, and then let's actually do that. This is not just text. This is an SVG that's actually being parsed. So if we take a look at our cache, we actually have something in here. I think it's in here. Yeah. So we have this. This is where all the cached SVGs go. I need to clear this and actually have this show up in your projects directory, not just in wherever the installation is. But basically, this is going through and this is actually parsing that SVG file and then doing all the layout and stuff automatically. So yeah, this is doing like full SVG objects and everything, not just text. This is also a full SVG object. I can actually go ahead and increase the stroke width, change the color to like red. You can see we've got red stroke. And the joins and stuff are not easy to do on your own. This is doing some nicer stuff. Let's actually change that to blue. There we go. And then if I go through and like, you can see that the create, and this is the other part too, the in-between states. So you can see all of these letters, those in-between states are not possible using a cached SVG. Those in-between states I have to do manually. So there's just no way that I could just use a standard cache or something. I have to generate all this stuff dynamically on the fly because that's just the only way that you can, unfortunately. So yeah, but the application also supports rendering at SVGs, not just X, but it works. I think I heard that one before. I was excited for multicolor vector fonts. I suspect the game is secretly re-implementing Flash. Yeah, basically. ActionScript anywhere, browser plugin, maybe in WASM. Yeah, basically this is very, I don't know, it's not cool. I think Flash would cache SVGs and stuff too, I think, if I remember correctly. So basically they would do the same thing where like all this stuff gets blitted to some sort of texture and then that texture gets used instead of like manually drawing all the SVGs and whatnot every time. But I think they would do that offline and then you would use that in the game or whatever. But I don't know. Lots of different things. Anyways, yeah, so we have full SVG support. I mean, that's my original point. You have to rasterize. Yeah, you do have to rasterize. And I just want to reduce that as much as possible, which it's not right now. Anyways, let's go ahead. I'm just going to delete that. Let's go into our scene manager. So basically, what is a scene manager and how do I want this to work? And let's delete all that because that's a lot of stuff. I wish for my fully math interface to GPU. So, trying to think of what I want. Basically, I just want you to have like a list of scenes and I want you to be able to use them, right? We're going to need a couple more things. So I think we want a deserialize and a serialize. Let's look at our timeline to see how I have that implemented. Timeline.h. Okay, so basically just want something like this. Except this is going to take return our scene data. Don't know. What does this look like? Okay, this just kind of looks like this. So this is just like different pieces of information about what we want to serialize, deserialize, that type of stuff. Okay, so what kind of data are we going to have in our scenes? Well, we have the name of the scene. Now that I'm thinking about this is going to be a little bit more complicated than I thought. I guess what we're going to do, so right now I have serialization working correctly for projects. And a project is one scene, right? So what happens is everything gets serialized into this project.bin. I think what we're going to do is this is actually going to be like scene whatever, right? .bin, and then this is just going to contain that file path, and then it's just going to load that. I think that's probably the easiest way to go about this. And then we can open up several different scenes from within one thing. Yes, that's how we're going to do this. Sounds good to me. Okay, so we'll get that in a minute. Imagine 3D 100% smooth characters. Trust me, I've been wanting that for a long time too. Unfortunately, everything I've looked up, GPU accelerated SVG rendering is just non-existent. Hasn't been worked on since like 2012. Very sad. Any of you guys looked at WASM VM yet? As in not the browser stuff, but using VM in your C project. Have not seen that. Okay, so scene data. What do we want? I guess we just want like a vector of strings, right? Those are the paths, and then the names. Yeah, that works. This is kind of redundant actually, because the user doesn't really care about the path. Maybe they will at some point, but for now I'm just going to do it like this. So basically we have the scene names, and those will automatically go into your project, right? And then it'll just be scene_name.bin, scene_name.bin. So yeah, that sounds easy to me. Okay, so we got that. And then we want to be able to serialize that and deserialize that. Okay. And this is actually going to be a little bit more complicated now. Sorry, just a minute. So, I'm trying to think of what the best way to do this would be. I'm going to take a break real quick. I'll be back in like 5 to 10 minutes, and then we will continue on this, if you guys are okay with that. So, I'm going to take a quick break. We'll be back, and then hopefully we can continue on this once my brain is a little bit clearer. There we go. Okay, I'll be right back in just a second. There we go. All right, so I think I've got a pretty good idea of what we'll be doing here. Should be pretty easy. Okay, so we're gonna have to have a couple of changes. Right now, what I do is this application essentially goes and loads, let's see. Okay, yeah, so we pass in a project file, and that project file just gets loaded. And that project file, if we take a look, is this project.bin. So I'm trying to think. I guess what we're going to have to do is we're going to have a project file which lists all the scenes. And then each scene has their own, like, what the project file originally was, I guess is how we're going to do this. So load project. Instead of doing this, we're going to change this up a little bit. So we're going to have this, and then I guess what we're going to have is like an int current scene. And that will just tell us which one of these we are currently on. And we can save that and reload it. So I'm going to work on serialize and deserialize first because I think that makes the most sense. Let's go ahead. We're going to copy this. If we go down, and I don't even have these implemented. So let's go ahead and implement these. So we are going to do something like this. To serialize all of our scenes should be pretty easy. We just need to write out all the strings and which current scene we are on, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to list out the number of scenes. By the way, I need to like come up with a better scheme than this because I've had problems here before. The serialization does not work the best, so we'll have to fix that eventually. This will be a list of strings, which is number of scenes long. Each string will basically be like string length, which is also going to be an I32. And then it will be like the string itself, which is just a list of chars, or I guess U8's string length long, right? So that's that. And then we'll have the int current scene, which is just an I32. So that's what we're going to do. We can do this pretty easily. Let me just see how I do this, just so that we can copy it. Serialize. Okay, yeah, so we're basically going to do something like this. And then we're going to say res.shrink to fit and return res at the end of all that. Let me just double check. Yes, that's what we do. Okay, so we're going to initialize this to the size of our scene data. I guess it really doesn't matter what we initialize it to, but we got to initialize it to something. So this should be good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say write the number of scenes. I guess best way to do this is going to say number of scenes equals scenes dot, or I guess data dot scene names dot size. And we're going to cast that there. We're going to say res dot write that. All right, and then we're going to say for int I equals 0 until I is less than number of scenes. And we want to write out each scene. So first we're going to get the string length, which is names I dot length, or data dot scene names I dot length. Okay, so we're going to write that out. We can say res.write int32 string length, and we'll just do that. Then we want to actually write out the string, so we can say write dangerous. The data is going to be data.cnames I.cstring, and then the size is going to be string length times size of uint8, and that should just do a bulk write where it basically just writes out all of that data. So should be good there. And we're not going to write the null byte. That should be fine. I don't think it matters if we write that or not. So that basically goes through, writes out each string length, and then the string itself. Then we just want to say res.write current scene, which is an int32. And we should be good. Cool. So now we have written everything and we've returned the result. We just need to do the reverse when we're deserializing. So same layout, except now we're getting the memory passed in. We no longer need to do this either. So this we will say is that, and then memory.read into that. Okay, so that's that. Then for each scene, we're gonna get the string length. So we do that. And then we want to read in bulk, and we want to, first of all, we'll say uint 8 star, or actually, yeah, I guess this is gonna be the easiest way. We're just gonna say uint 8 star string equals allocate that times string length. And I'm gonna add one for a null byte because we're gonna have to pass this to a std string and kind of convert. So just gonna keep that. So we do this, and then we're gonna say memory.read dangerous. We're gonna put it into string, and we want to do size of uint 8 times string length. So that should read the whole thing, and then we can say memory, or actually we can say string that equals the null byte. Okay, and then finally what we can do is we can say we have our res scene data. There we go. And then we're gonna say res dot scene names dot pushback std string. And I'm actually gonna change that to in place. There we go. Okay, so that should take that. Why is this not happy? It should just convert this string, is what I would expect. Oh, it's because this isn't char star. Okay, there we go. So that should be fine. That should read all of those, and then we just want to say res, I guess, memory.read data, or I guess res.currency. And that should do that. Then we return the res, and that's that. Cool. So we have a serialization, we have deserialization. This should all work out. Now, how do we actually go ahead and load a project and save a project, which is the next part. Okay. So I think what we're going to do is, I did have all of this in the editor GUI, but I'm actually going to pull that up a layer. Editor GUI.cpp. Yes, this is not actually going to live in here. So let's take that out. And actually, I'm going to copy that before I take it out. We're actually going to have all of this live in the application. Yeah, that's fine. So I'll put it up there with like the million other things that I have here. We're going to initialize this inside of the application. So we're going to do this. Let's see, application. I just want to make sure I do this before I load the project, which is happening down here. Okay, so I'll do this like right after editor settings. Okay. So that should be good. And then we want to update it. So I can steal that. We'll go down here. And I guess we'll put it right there. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we update it there, and then, or actually, no, I can't put it there. Okay, this is part of IMGUI, so I have to put this in between the IMGUI calls. Put it right there. And then I think I've got one more place we need to free it. Okay, yeah. So we can do that. And we'll free it down with everything else. Right there. Okay, cool. So we've brought this up a layer. And then basically what we want to do is when we load a project, the project binary is actually going to contain scene data. And that's going to be it. And then that scene data will load the current scene, which should like kind of finish the loading. And that's how we're going to go about this, I think. Let me just check chat real quick. Inconsistency with the int in the loop is hurting me, to be honest. Yeah, I don't care. It's the same thing. Give Gabe data that holds -1 scene with name of -1 chars. Huh. Okay, so anyways, let's continue with this. So I'm going to just serialize scene data, which is going to be our scene management panel. Is this how I wanted to do this? Wait a second. I think I've got this backwards. Okay, so we want this to, oh yeah, we just have to pass it the data. Okay, yeah, this is fine. One other thing we're going to do here is we're just going to pass this in scene data. Scene data, I'm just going to call that SD. And then I guess in init, deciding what I want to do. I think that, I don't know. We're going to leave this for now because I'm not even using init or free. If I don't end up using them, I'm just going to remove them because that makes the most sense. But here we're going to pass that in. Okay. And then inside of application, what we're going to do is we're actually going to have up here somewhere. And we're just going to initialize that. Empty initialization there. Okay. So that way when we serialize, we're just going to put everything into there. I guess is how this is going to work. Or we're going to take everything from there, I guess I should say. So we get that. Then what I'm going to do is I actually don't want to lose this stuff. So what we're going to do is first I'm going to copy that void save scene. We're going to have that. Okay. And I'm going to have to change that. That should be fine. Okay, so we have this table of contents thing, which is just a structure that helps me organize the binary files. So we're going to do the same thing here. Okay, and then we're going to add an entry, which is our scene data. Oh, whoops, I got to do this the other way. Okay, so that should be fine. We add that entry, then I want to serialize that, and this is where we're actually going to serialize to our project file path. This is going to serialize to a slightly different place, which I'll fix in just a second. Okay, so then after we finish doing all that, I probably want to save the scene as well. Let's actually just go down here. So we have that. I'm going to go ahead and say scene data memory dot free. Okay, so we free that and then we save the scene as well, and that should save the entire project. But now we have a way to save a scene as well, or I guess to save the current scene, which will change up here. And let's just go to here. And we're going to put that right there. Okay. So void save current scene and then void load current scene. I guess what I probably want to do is like load scene. And then I guess we're just going to pass a string. And this is how we're going to do this. Okay, that works. Okay, so we have load project, load scene. This is going to do what load project is currently doing. So where did I put that? let's go down here, copy all this. Okay. And now we need to change this stuff. Okay, so for this, I guess what we're gonna do, so we get past the project file. I think I'd rather get past the project root and then kind of do this stuff. So let's change this. Well, actually, I do save this thing. Okay, wait, let me see how I'm getting that path for the image that gets saved when you finish. Okay, so we have this output file. Okay, where's that? Okay, so this is what I'm doing. I'm just gonna do this and save the project root instead. So we have project file somewhere in here. Okay, right here. So instead of this, I'm gonna say, well, we can just add one. Current project root, and that should be good. So then we have project file, and we're gonna set this here. Current project root equals that. Okay, so that should be good. Might just do this instead though. Okay, so we've got that. Now when we load the project, I'm actually gonna pass it the root. And then the project is always gonna be called, let's see, project.bin, and then the scenes are gonna be like scene whatever.bin. Okay, so let's just change that. This could be project root. Go down here, that's what that is. Okay, so we've got this load project, which is gonna load the project root, and then this is the scene name. And let's add one more thing here. Let's actually just call this, I may as well change this to a string ref too. Okay, stood string ref. Okay, so we got the root and then the name. Same thing here. Okay, so we got the root and then the name, and then what we'll do here. Okay, so I guess this is kind of unnecessary. Never mind. Let's change that back. Okay. This can say stood string though. As I was thinking about this, I was like, oh wait, this doesn't actually make sense because we already have the root saved. Okay, so we can say stood string file path equals project root plus scene name. Okay, and then we can just use that, which is better. Okay, so we've got that, and I guess we should say plus .bin. So how are scenes going to be formatted? Let's go up here and just like have a formatting function real quickly, because that's always useful. So we'll have a static void format scene name, and this is actually that. Or I guess we could say like scene to file name. Let's go down where that's defined. Okay, so we will just return scene underscore plus string name plus .bin. Okay, so and then load project. Let's go back to that down here. Okay, so this is actually gonna be the project root plus scene to file name, which should format it. Okay, cool. So we turn this into a file name. That's basically going to give us some file in here that's like scene underscore and then the scene name .bin, which is good. Then we open it and we do all the same stuff that we used to do, except in terms of a scene. So this should all just kind of work out now. That's good. This is going to have to change a little bit. So now this, instead of doing this, we're going to say I thought I have like project file path. Yeah, okay, there we go. We're just gonna do this. and then just use that, I guess, maybe. Trying to decide if I like that. No, I think what we're gonna do is we're just gonna say std string, and this is actually a std string ref now. Project file path equals project root plus project.bin. Okay. And then we're gonna use that. Okay, and then I'm gonna get rid of this thing up here because it's useless. What was it called? That guy. Okay, so we don't care about that. We're gonna get rid of that. And just change that. Okay, and now we should be good. Cool, so now we go into here. Just change that. Okay, we go into there, that's fine. And now this is gonna be different. Instead of doing all this, we'd say that should be fine. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna change this to be scene data memory. And I think I called it scene data. And then that's all we have. And we want to free it afterwards. If it succeeded, we want to load that. So then I would say deserialize, or I guess scene data or scene management. That's what's called. Deserialize, and we want to pass in that guy. And we set that equal. Okay, cool. So that should do that. And then if that succeeded, then we can say load scene dot current scene. I guess we would do a scene data. I don't know. That feels a little bit weird. We'll just do this. So that and that. Okay. So yeah, that should basically just do everything. Yeah, okay. And then this, we're just gonna change. What's wrong with this? Okay, wait a second, let's check this real quickly. Save current scene. Okay, so where does this go to? We want it to go to the same place this is going to. So we'll just copy that. File path. There we go. Okay, so that should be fine. Scene name is just going to be, I guess, scene data dot current scene. So just that should be good. Okay, that works. And then for this current project file path, instead of doing that, we're just going to do this, and we'll use that. Okay. And this should be current project root. Okay, cool. So that should be all of that stuff. We've got a couple more problems now. Okay, we can change this. I guess we can just say file system path, current, what is happening here? Current project root. Fix that. Okay, so we'll do that. And then I got one more thing. We need to fix this. Pass that. That's fine. Okay, cool. So with all of that done, I think we're good, almost. The last thing I want to do is just make sure that if the scene data is not initialized properly, let's see, where do I have this? It's somewhere in here. Basically, what I want to do is I want to say like load project. So this should load it, but if it doesn't load anything, I want to initialize some default value so that it doesn't break everything when it saves. So basically what I want to do is say like if scene data dot names dot size. So if we didn't load anything, we'll just do that. Okay, and then scene data is 0. Okay, so I think that's basically everything. Let's just see if this works. I'm going to create a new project because this one's going to be broken since I've changed everything. Yeah. Let's see what happens. After it finishes compiling. There we go. Okay. So we've got this. If we do a new project, test project 2, create. Okay, so it loaded fine. We got a warning, could not load project, which makes sense because there is no project there. Does that have the correct? Uh-oh, okay, so that's not good. First of all, we should have a slash there. And we've leaked some memory. Okay, so I think we're gonna have a few problems. First of all, if we go into here, yeah, so it saved these things, but it just saved them to the wrong place. So projects.bin is fine, but then this should be in here, and that should be in there as well. Well, that's good though, that it's at least saving them. Let's go ahead, we're gonna delete that. Let's go current project root. I'm just gonna add a slash, and let's actually do a /. Yeah, that should be fine. Let's try this again. Okay, so if we do this, new project, test project 2, we create that. Okay, could not load the project, that's fine. Yes, that looks correct. So then if I go ahead and I add, let's just do a square, drag it over there. I need to optimize this because there's so much stuff you have to do just to get an object onto the screen. I need to have this like open with a default scene so that you're not doing all this stuff just to get it showing up. There we go. Okay, so now we have our square and it creates it. Cool. So we've got that. Now if I close it, it's going to save automatically. We leaked some bytes. We'll fix that. Let's just make sure this looks correct. So if we look in here, not there, in here, we have this, and we have our project. We have our project preview, which if we open it up, just looks like an image. And we have our scene, new scene.bin. Cool. I think I don't want spaces in the scene names as well. I might convert spaces to underscores or dashes or something just so that we don't have that. But that's a future thing. For now, it looks fine. It's 1 kilobyte, so it looks like it's actually saving stuff, which is good. Trying to think. I think this is good. So now if we reload it, let's just see if that works. So we go here. We got that. It loaded up fine. Cool. So that's good. Let's do something in Scene Manager now. So we actually have scenes that we should be working with. They should be, let's actually fix that memory leak real quickly first. So if we do this, if we close Scene Management, line 66. So, oh, that's coming from here, of course. So do want to free that string afterwards. We are done with it. And then line 90 of core.cpp, line 90. Okay, so it looks like it's not the actual location of the leak. I'm guessing I'm probably just forgetting to free something here. So let's see. So we free that. I think I probably have to free the table of contents after we... Yeah, okay. So I think that's probably what I'm missing there. We free it there, load project. We free it there, so that's all good. Okay, I think that's probably what it was. Let's see. Yeah, it's good when things actually work out first try. Usually doesn't happen, but sometimes it does. Cool, no more memory leaks. Okay, let's commit this because it's working. It seems to be working all right. Add basic scene manager serialization. Okay, we'll push that. And then we'll exit. Yeah, that looks fine. Cool. To be honest, it's rightly suspicious if it works from first try. True, but this is like pretty straightforward stuff, so I'd hope it would work and not like break horribly and stuff. Let's go into here. I guess this is the true test now, right? So now what we want to do is we want to say for int I equals 0 until I is less than sd.size or that. And yes, I know I'm using int here again, but it's all right. I don't care. Okay, if we go through here, what do we want to do? I guess for now, what we can do is we can just say I'm GUI. Actually, I think I have something that could help us with this. Include editor / I'm GUI extended. Yes, that's what I want. Okay, let's include that. And it's called icon button. Okay, cool. So we want an icon button. Icon button. No, do I have it called extended? Yeah, okay, cool. So we want an icon button. The icon is going to be icon folder or something like that. Let's just go up here. I think this is in utils. Yeah, font awesome. Okay. Cool, so we got the folder icon, and then the string is gonna be this scene, and we're just gonna let it be whatever default size. Okay. And then let's just see that. Loading scene %s. And we'll just say sd.cnames i.cstring. Okay, so we should see some icon button things pop up with the scene name. And then if we click it, it should say like loading scene, right? Okay, so we go here, scene manager. Cool, so we've got this. And if I click it, loading scene, new scene, sweet. I probably don't want this to take up the whole width though. The reason it looks like that is because this is taking it from this thing. So it's like the same style there. I think what I want is I want the folder to be above the text. Trying to think of how I want to do that too now. For now, we'll just give it a fixed size, and then I'll fix it later. Just realized, unlike Twitch chat, Chatter INO actually has timestamps. Okay, so let's just give it a default. What am I using here? IMVec2. Okay, yeah. Let's give it a default size. I don't know, like 128 by 64. See how that looks. And paste it there. See if that's all right. Too small. I'll fix that in just a second. I think if I leave the height undefined too, I think that should automatically set the height. So if I just do like 256, should work out properly, hopefully. There we go, yeah. So the height gets set automatically, and then we get this button. Cool. And then one thing I want to do is after we do all this, and I think I want these to be on the same line, unless there's no space left, which we can tell by saying I am GUI content region available .x, okay, if that greater than button size .x. Same line. Okay. Which should mean that everything gets put on the same line if we can. And then right after this, we'll have our last extended icon button. And this will be icon folder plus. Okay. And let's do a couple other things too after this, because I didn't realize I could do this. This will actually be, we're gonna call this add scene, right? So we have a button to add a scene. And then what I wanna do too is, what does this take? This takes in a char star icon. Let's say the icon equals I equals sd.current scene. If that's true, we're gonna use icon folder open. Otherwise, that's, I don't know how helpful that'll be, but I'm interested to see what it looks like. So we'll see if that looks good. Okay, so then we have the plus folder, which is adding a scene. For now, we'll just say adding new scene. and we'll add the functionality in just a second. I'm meanwhile currently busy re-implementing parking lot, which is based on WebKit's parking lot, which itself is based on Vutex's. Multi-threading stuff is fun. I will say that. Okay, cool. So we have new scene, which is an open folder because that's the scene we're currently on. If I click add scene, it says adding new scene, but that's it. So let's go ahead and actually implement that very quickly. And we're getting very close to actually having this whole thing working out. So how are we going to add a new scene? I think what we're going to do is we're just going to say sd.scenenames, push back, new scene, and then we're going to say plus sd.scenenames.size, right? So be like 0, 1, 2, whatever. And I should actually just say stud to string, make sure that gets converted correctly. Okay. So we push back a new scene, and then what I'm going to do is also say scene names, or current scene equals that -1. So then we're going to switch to that scene as well. And then I need to tell the application to like load a new scene or something somehow. Yeah, I guess what we could do is just that, possibly. No, I don't think that's going to work. I've got to unload the current scene and then load a new one. So basically, void reload scene. We're going to have this, and that should hopefully do everything. But what I'm going to do, just to make sure this doesn't break stuff, is put it as a flag, and then we're just going to do this at the end of the frame. So we're going to have this, false. And where did I put that in here? Right below load scene. Load scene. Okay, right there. What this is going to do is it's just going to say reload current scene equals true. And then we're going to have like a reload scene internal or something that actually does the stuff we want it to do. So we'll have static void reload that, and this should actually reload it. So we've got that. Let's actually go search for that real quick. Okay, we got that there. Put that there. Okay, so at the end of our loop, inside of our core game loop and stuff, right here, I guess after we swap buffers, we'll say if reload current scene. Then we're gonna say reload current scene internal equals false. Okay, this is why we don't break stuff if like we're unloading objects in the middle of the update loop, because that will probably get called somewhere in here. Yeah, so definitely don't want to do that just like in the middle of execution, like when they click this new scene and then I go reload scene. We don't want to break stuff, so we'll do this, include core/application, and that should be good. And now we just implement this and we should have everything working. The speed of primitives is mutex, critical section, SRW lock, wait on adder, Vutexx. Interesting. I've still got a lot to learn about multi-threading primitives and stuff, but one day I'll learn more. Okay, so how do we reload a scene though? That's kind of where, so I guess first we want to save our current scene, right? So we want to say like save current scene. And what's that going to do? That's going to go, it's going to get all of our data and then it's going to serialize that into what, oh, okay. This is already bad. Okay, yeah, we're going to change up how this works a little bit. So instead of reload scene, we're going to say change scene too. And then this is going to say, oh, and I guess we have that kind of with load scene. Wait a second. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, this is fine. We're going to say change scene to, and then this is going to take in a scene name. And this is going to queue it. That way we don't lose everything. So that's going to be below load scene. Okay. So what this is going to do is it's just going to say for, and I know this is inefficient and stuff, but it really doesn't matter. Scene data dot names dot size if scene data I equals scene name, scene to change to equals I. And if we get here, unknown scene name, do that, and we're just gonna say cannot change to unknown scene name. Okay, so we've got all this scene data dot that, and then I need to create this variable, reload current scene. Let's go up to where we have that defined. This is going to be an integer, -1. Okay. Yeah, so that works. So basically when we reload current scene, what that's going to do is it's going to change to whatever scene to change to. This way we kind of queue up the actions. And I also missed, wait a second. I was just there. Okay, change scene to. So we're gonna do that and then reload current scene equals true, and we're gonna return here. And so let's get rid of that. We did. Okay, cool. So what's gonna happen is it's gonna call reload scene internal. We're gonna have this set properly. We're gonna have that set properly. Then what's gonna happen is we're gonna save the current scene. This is going to use whatever the actual current scene is. It's going to serialize all that stuff. That's all good. Thank you, MDS Ubuntu, for following. Good to see you. MDS Ubuntu, I guess. But thank you. Good to see you. Okay, so once we save the current scene, we can say scene data.current scene. And we're actually going to change it to that now. And then, excuse me, then we can say load. I guess it's just load scene. And we're going to pass it scene data dot scene names current scene, right? Yeah, okay. And then what's going to happen here is if it's a new scene, it's just going to fail. Yes, and this is actually going to say could not load scene. Okay, and then that's going to return. So basically, if it's a new file, it should basically do nothing. One last thing we want to do. We want to free all of this stuff and reinitialize it. Okay, so this is the last thing. We need to reinitialize all of our kind of systems. So we need to reinitialize this. Let's actually just copy this stuff. And we're going to do that. Yes, I'm debating. I think we're going to have a function, static void initialize scene systems. And then static void free scene systems. So basically I need to figure out what we need to free and what we need to initialize in order to reload a scene. I don't want to like close the entire window. So I don't want to free everything, but I also need to free some stuff. So it's basically what this is going to be. I think we're going to say animation manager free. We'll pass it its data. We also want to free our timeline. Pass it that data. Okay, so we probably want to free the timeline first. I'll double check that. And then our camera data. So for that, probably just want to set that position back to 0. Yeah, I might have to do, oh, and then the zoom back to 1. And then editor camera 3D. Position is 0. Okay, and then I'll fix other stuff as needed. Why is this not happy? Oh, well, that's weird. Guess that's a vec3. Okay, I need to change that. So that should be kind of fine. So we free these systems, I guess, technically free some of these systems. And then here, what we're going to do is say like timeline init. Give it that animation manager init. I guess there is no init for this. Okay. Let me just go to init and let's just make sure I'm not missing anything. This is probably what I actually want to do. Yeah, I think this is probably what I want to do. Why do I have camera 2D and then editor camera 2D? Oh, yeah. Okay, so basically I've got two different cameras because there's two different, yeah, okay, anyways. That's besides the point. Let's fix that real quickly. So I'm gonna copy this. Init scene, initialize scene systems, okay. We're gonna do that, which is good. Set those up to the default values. Okay, so that's fine. That's the first thing. I'm actually gonna move this too because it doesn't really matter. This is just assigning references, I believe. Wait, let me just check. So that goes there. Looks like it's not actually using these. Okay, I'll have to fix that. So anyways, that doesn't matter too much. I basically want to figure out what I need to do like here. So we're gonna say initialize scene systems here. Okay, so which systems pertain to scenes, I guess is what I'm trying to figure out here. Fonts do not, GLAD does not, the render is independent, IMGUI layer is independent, audio, nope, Gizmo Manager, nope, SVG, nope, text animations, no. I think this is just completely useless at this point too. I'm not sure what this is doing. If I just remove this. Yeah, I don't think that breaks anything. Okay, let's just remove that. Legacy code that I forgot about. Okay, get rid of that. Yeah, that must have been useful at some other point, but it's not useful now. Okay, so we can get rid of that. Okay, so we create this. This is probably one of the things I want to do. So I'm going to move that into there. What does editor settings do? That just initializes those. Okay, so that's probably something I would want to have in there as well. And then scene management panel. So I think I'm going to move these down here. Actually, a little bit lower. Okay, so we then have the LaTeX layer. Our frame buffers, those should be fine. Current project, that should be fine. Okay. Well, I guess we'll do this. And then we have this. So basically what I need to do is just this stuff, I guess. That and then the cameras, which I have moved. So copy that, initialize scene systems. We're gonna move those into here. Okay. Okay, cool. So I think that's all we need to do to initialize the scene systems. And then we just load the project, which just loads the scene. And that should just kind of work out. I can get rid of it here. Oh, and then should this be in there too? Wait a second, let me just check this real quickly. Okay, that's the last thing that we also need to do. Trying to think of what the best way to do this will be. Okay. So I think we're gonna leave this here. Okay. Initialize scene systems does all this, and then what we're gonna do is free these systems. So in this case, that would be, let's go here. I think we're gonna do animation manager free. So we're gonna free that, and then editor settings free. We are gonna free that as well, because those will get reinitialized here. Yep, that works. Okay, so then when we reload a scene, what we're gonna do is we're gonna save the current scene. Okay, and then we're gonna say free scene systems, then initialize scene systems. Okay, so this is going to kind of reset to a blank slate. Then we're going to load the scene, and then I need to do one more thing, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. Which was, if we go back up to init, this last thing here, editor GUI init, which I want to do right there, and we're going to pass it whatever we have deserialized. Okay, and I guess one last thing we're going to do here too is editor GUI free. So yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that we have to do it this way, but it is what it is. Okay, let's see if this works. So basically, when I hit new scene, it should reload to that new scene, and we should get like an empty blank slate, and then I can save that, and then we can open up to like different scenes and stuff. Hopefully. That's the plan. We'll see if any of this works. Because it felt very jumbled, but I think it should be fine. Okay, let's go ahead and fix this. That should be declared up here. Let's just go down there. Okay. Internal. And let me just do this. Kind of declare that and that. Go find this. Okay. And now we should be good. Let's try this again. So fingers crossed this all works in just a second. Okay, yeah, and so then this, what I'm gonna change, instead of doing this, we're gonna say string new scene name equals that. Okay, got that, and then we're gonna do this. Okay, so that should do everything we wanted to do, hopefully. Okay, so we load this project, we open it up. Okay, my editor, you can see my timeline cursor is over here and everything. All looks good. If I add a scene, we have a new scene. You can see we're in this scene. It's zoomed in. It looks like it's all working, right? Let's go ahead. We're gonna add a text object. I'll drag this over here. We will go back to here. Okay, you'll notice the timeline's empty. It didn't completely reset, but I can fix that. That shouldn't be hard. If we drag in a create, I need to get rid of write-in text too, because that's obsolete. That's not good. Oh, I need to select a font. Okay, I was scared there for a second. Yeah, if we select a font, okay, there we go. So it's definitely generated it. Okay, and I need to fix some stuff. There's a few weird things. I just need to increase that. Oh, this is a weird font. Oh, okay, okay. I see what's happening. The timeline's incorrect. So I'm gonna move this because I think, yeah, I think it's shifted. I need to reset this. Okay, we'll fix this in just a second. I think it was all correct, but it was just shifted because I never reset the timeline data, maybe. Okay, yeah, so now you can see that it's working properly. Okay, cool. Well, this is working pretty good. I just need to reset the timeline data. And I think we should be good after that. So let's go back in to here. Where is it? Timeline, CPP. Wait, where was that? Application. Okay. Where do I do the timeline stuff anyways? That's happening. I think it happens in here. Yeah, okay, so it is happening in there. Okay, so I think one last thing I need to do is we free that, we free the scene systems. Is that gonna free, okay. So when we free this, this does timeline free instance, okay. And then when we save, what does that do? That serializes the timeline. Okay. So that should work out. Then we load the scene, which goes through. If it can't load anything, then it just does nothing. And then we initialize here, which should say, oh, okay, wait, if not timeline loaded. I think that's our problem. Where is, okay, here we go. Yeah, I think this is the problem. This set timeline data. When we free this, I need to set that back to false. Okay, I think that's all we were missing. Cool, so now that should be good. Almost, right? The 0 offset was where the old timeline's cursor was. Yes, and I think we figured out why that is. So now, okay, this is fine. If I go and I do a new scene again, okay, that might not have fixed it. Let's see real quickly. I'll just add a square because that's a little simpler. Do that, create, drag that there. Yeah, okay, so 0 is still there, huh? Interesting. I wonder why this isn't working properly. Okay. I might just have to trace this in a second. Let's see. Could not load scene. That's interesting. Error opening file. I guess because it didn't have a name. Let's just make sure this loads properly. Okay, so it does, and it looks like it's actually like correct. It's just the cursor is offset for some reason. That's really weird. I wonder if it's just because, let's see. So what does this contain? Timeline data. Okay, so it contains whatever the first frame and the current frame are. And we should hit this. Okay, we're gonna trace this real quickly. Debug. This is what debug mode is for. So let's go into application. Let's go here. Let's see what's happening. And I'm creating a bunch of new scenes all over the place. Okay, so let's go here. So we save the current scene. That should be fine. Then we go into here. This frees that. Okay, so that's going to 0, everything. Then we free this. Oh, this is a different thing too. Okay. Wait, yeah. Okay, so that's fine. So we free that. That's all good. Then we go to here. This goes, freeze that. Freeze that. Okay, that's not doing anything. Then we initialize. Okay, that's fine. That looks fine too. Cool. So then we load. This goes through. Didn't do anything because that didn't exist. Okay, so it exited early there. Then we go back into here. Okay, so that initializes it. That's good. Then we initialize here. This is going to do nothing because we have no animation, so it's just going to skip all this stuff. Yeah, just skip it all. Okay. That looked fine too. Okay, so that all looked fine. Then we get to that. That's fine. Let's see if we can figure out what's going wrong. So if I go back into the IMGUI update, which is where this is happening. If I keep going down. Okay, so we do that. We do that. That's fine. And then inside of here. Okay, so we go in here. That's fine. I don't really care about all this stuff. Here, I want to go down to here. So we go into here. Okay. Okay. So I need to reset the application's frame index too. I still don't think that should matter though. It's interesting that it's like breaking other stuff. Because that's just going to change the cursor. Okay, let's keep going real quick. So current frame is that. First frame should be 0, zoom level, all that stuff. Okay. So yeah, it should still work properly as far as I'm aware. I'm not quite sure why it's doing that weird offset thing. Let's go back into here. This is why I hate trying to reinitialize stuff, because it's always so hard to figure out what exactly you need to do to get it to the correct state again. I wonder if it's like one of these things that's kind of breaking up. Let's go ahead and when we do timeline.cpp, okay, if this has to create a new instance, what I'm gonna do, I think it's in here. Okay, yeah. So when we do, or maybe not in here, huh? Okay, I'm getting confused. Wait a second, let's go into editor GUI. I think that's where I want to be. Yes, okay, inside of here. So if this happens, what I'm gonna do is say application, set that frame to 0. We'll see if this works, possibly. CLO matrix. How can I get comfortable with C++? I've been using C# for 5 years. Started learning C++ this year, but I still can't get comfy with it. You just got to kind of start using it, I guess. That's what worked best for me, was like I just started doing projects in it, and then the more projects I did, the easier it became. So unfortunately, that's like the easiest way to do it. I wish there was like some silver bullet, but that's does not work that way, which kind of stinks. Let's go through here. Let's see if this works out. So if we do that, we've got scene 3, square. Okay, so this is back at 0. That's good, I guess. Oh, I need to actually add it up here too. It's still offset weird though. That is so weird, huh? Okay, last thing we can check. Inside of the animation manager, yes. Inside of the render function. Okay, so basically what I do is I pass a delta frame to kind of set what this current frame is. This has got to be it, but that's just weird. Okay, so we free that, we free the systems, that frees that. We initialize, this goes here. Sets the current frame to 0. And then this goes in it. That's all fine. This will skip that. Okay, that's all fine too. Okay, and then what happens once we get back into the update loop? Then absolute current frame minus absolute previous frame. Okay, is this what's happening? Possibly. So this delta frame is going to be used eventually to like help with optimizations, but right now it's just causing me a headache apparently. I think this is the problem. Let's go back into that reload scene and I'm going to trace the code again real quick. Reload current scene. There we go. Let's go into here. Try this one more time. So go here, new scene. We do all this stuff. That's fine. Okay, that's good. So then we get delta time. That's all fine. Delta frame. Okay, so current frame is 0. Previous frame is 227. Okay, so this is what's happening. And then delta frame is negative 227. Okay. And so then we're getting a negative offset, which is breaking everything. Okay, I gotcha. I think this makes sense. So what we want to do okay, so we deserialize here. And then I guess what we want to do too is say like AM, this is going to get dot. Why am I not getting IntelliSense? Okay, so that should be a pointer. Oh, I think it's an opaque pointer. Okay, so inside of this deserialize, I think what I want to do is we finish deserializing here and then AM current frame. Okay, and then what I want to do is like say application reset to frame, something like that, which is basically just going to reset the delta frames and all that stuff. Okay, let's try this. This is going to be core/application. Okay, let's go into here. I've got all these things. I need to consolidate some of these. To do. And yes, I know I have lots of to-dos here. Eventually I'll get rid of them. Okay, get frame rate per second. Okay, so then what this is going to do is it's going to say current frame equals that. Equals that. That's good. And then one last thing is if it doesn't do this, we want to say reset to frame 0. Okay, so I think with all of this, we should be good. Let's see if this fixes it. But yeah, so we were getting some sort of negative offset because it was kind of getting mismatched there. Hopefully this works. But yeah, CLO matrix. So I definitely was in like the same boat as you. I had been using Java for a long time, and switching to C++ is like a huge change. And yeah, I think the easiest way was just like starting to do projects and stuff. I tried converting some Java projects to C++. That didn't work out great. It worked out much better once I actually started doing like C++ for itself. One great book. If you want to, I actually think learning C is probably a better first step. And if you want to do that, this is awesome because first you go through, make your interpreter in Java, then you make it in C. So yeah, crafting interpreters helped me a lot as well. Yeah, it was very helpful. So this might actually be great because you kind of get to see the same code base too, how it transforms. And it has good challenges in there too. Yeah, we got the same idea. Yeah. It was pretty good. At least it isn't Java. There's nothing wrong with Java. I don't know. It's just the way people use it. It's bad. Okay, so we're in here. I add this scene. Let's just make sure this works. So we go through here. Then what we should end up getting is 0. Okay, so that's 0. That's good. That means we should be fine. So now if I go add a square, do all this. Okay, track. Okay, we don't see it because the cursor's there. Okay, there we go. And now it's all aligned properly. That's much better. And no problem, CLO matrix. Hopefully it's helpful. And sorry, I just knocked the microphone there. So hopefully that wasn't loud. Okay, cool. So that's that part. That's finally working. Now I want to be able to change back into one of these scenes. Let's see if we can do that as well. Should be easy now that we've gotten all of this annoying stuff out of the way. If we just go back into here, I should be able to just say that, and we're going to give it that. Okay, let's see if that works. So we go into here. If I go in here, we want to remove that because that's not necessary anymore. Okay, it looks very similar, but we are loading new scenes. Okay, cool. So if I actually, and you can see the folder changes to just kind of indicate, which is nice. Let's just make this a little bit more complicated, make sure it's actually working. Hello world object. We're going to say hello world. Go ahead, grab a font, and that populates it. Cool. Let's go into here. Timeline. We're going to go and add it here. Okay, and I need to increase the size as well. Where's that? SVG scale. Cool. So that looks good. All right, that looks good. So then if I were to go here, that's not good. Oh, okay. I think this is actually pretty easy to solve too. It's not actually an error too. Yeah. So like there's no error there. If I just go back here, what's happening is, so I have this object selected. This is our active object. I clicked here. And then what ended up happening was it triggered this. This only triggers once though. I think this is, oh wait, no, this was a different one. Okay, wait a second. No, okay. Uh-oh. Now it's really breaking. I wonder what happened there. Okay, so it was kind of working until it all crashed after I changed back and forth a couple of times. We'll have to look into what's going on there. With the active animation object though, I think the only reason, so I clicked here, this is now active. We have it up here in our inspector and stuff. And then if I go and I click into scene 1, yeah, okay, so it's mad because this isn't getting set back to null. I think I have like a free in here that we're calling. Free. Okay, yeah, so we are calling that here. I should probably reset that stuff. So timeline data.active. Oh, and I'm not even serializing that. That should probably be serialized. But for now, we'll just do this null anim and then active object to do serialize this with timeline data. Yeah, so that should definitely be serialized. It's not right now, but that shouldn't matter. If we do this, that should fix it, and hopefully it fixes whatever that other thing that happened was. I wonder if it was just like there was something active over here, and since we freed it, it was trying to access invalid memory. Okay, so we got no problems there. If I click this. Okay. Yeah, I think what happened was, so we got that crash. Why did that happen? I think what happened was we have this text object here. It's available in the object inspector. So it tried to access something that no longer existed. And then once we switched to here, since that object no longer exists, it was trying to access memory that's like gone. So I'm willing to bet that's what happened. But yeah, it looks like this is working pretty good though. Oh, no, never mind. As soon as I speak, of course it's going to break again. I wonder what's happening here. So length is less than buffer count. X2A. Oh, okay. This is coming from... I think it's trying to convert some string and it's breaking. I wonder if it's one of these things or something. Who knows? One thing I have to kind of fix is regenerating the text objects kind of allocates a lot of new IDs, and I wonder if that's messing with stuff. Anyways, that's working good enough. I'm going to try and debug what's happening there. get basic scene management working with scary crash. I have a few ideas of where it could be coming from. I'll just have to debug a little bit and see which one is the actual one. But yeah, I think I'm probably going to end it in just a second. When you press retry, will it show in the code abort? That's a good idea. Thank you, Natsu130. Let's try that real quick. I'm not quite sure what was triggering it too. Okay, there we go. So we've got that. If I hit retry, Natsu130, thank you. You are a lifesaver. I don't know why I always forget to do something like that. Okay. Ah. Huh. That would explain it. Okay, so this is like a unique ID. I wonder why I'm using I2A. I guess it's a good thing I was, because it crashed instead of just breaking stuff. So I just don't have a buffer that's big enough. It's going up to 10, and that's overwriting this string. So... Oh, okay, yeah, it should be, okay, so, sorry if that was loud. What's happening here is basically, I have this default track name thing, which is how it comes up with the track names. We count, if it gets greater than 100, I just reset it to 0. This should probably be if it's... Where is this actually getting incremented? Okay, then we increment it down there. So 2 characters should be, because like 0 to 99, we shouldn't actually hit that, right? So 0 is the lowest, 99 is the highest. We should be fine. I wonder if this is just, let's see. Oh, no, I think what's happening, wait, and what's this take? This takes in, the radix is 10, so we're doing base 10. I think I need 3 characters here. I think the null byte was breaking that, and so once we got up to 10, it was crashing. Let's try this again. Actually, let's confirm that first before I just go changing it and assume that's where. So if I count up to 10, it should break on the 10th try when we do this. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Crash. Okay. Yeah, so it's definitely got to be this thing. If we increase that to 3, that should be good. 3 characters. Let's just bump it up to 4. Ooh, I don't know. That kind of scares me. Okay, let's do 3. I'm going to count up to 100 real quick. We're going to see if this works. I mean, it's a good stress test, right? And then once we get to 100, it should still be able to continue going. So this is going to take a while. We've got 4 here, 5 here. So if I do this 20 times, just loop through all of them, we should hit it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'm at 46, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. And we're still going good. I mean, there's an easy way we can check too. Yeah, track 13. Okay, so it's looped back. Like if we switch, that's now track 14, track 15. Okay, cool. So that fixed it. I missed one, you believe. Yeah, I think we definitely got, because it looped back around, so we should be good. Okay, Natsu130 coming in clutch there. Thank you. Cool, so I think that's good. I2AS did its job and correctly warned me that I was about to write into invalid memory. So that's good. That whenever I say that, it reminds me of this one scene from IT Crowd. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it. And it's great. Okay, anyways, I think that's going to wrap it up for this stream. Thank you guys for all being here. Let's actually commit that before I leave, and I'm going to end off stream here. Do this, fix bug where. That's good enough. Okay, cool. Yeah, and that should be good. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. I will hopefully see you next time, and I'll try and start uploading the old streams and stuff too to YouTube, so that if you guys are interested, you can check those out. But yeah, good seeing you guys, and